Hey there, you're listening to Not Another TV Podcast. This is episode 73, the week of February 1st, 2025. My name's Drew Koenig. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mads Sassy. Mads, how we doing?
I'm good. I did something I normally don't do at work this week, which is I put myself out there and I led a meeting about accessibility for our marketing team. And then the next day, my manager was like, I want to promote you. And I was just like, yay, more money. And then I'm like, yay, more responsibility. That's why you don't go the extra mile at work if you don't want to.
It's true. So, Mads, we're through the first month of the year. How are we feeling?
I feel like this month lasted like 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. I had an appointment with a psychiatrist on Friday to return to therapy.
Very important.
It is, but very nerve-wracking at the same time.
Right. It is kind of work. I think we're instinctively like, okay, we have to go to the doctor every so often. We have to like take our car in every so often. But we're not like, hey, let's go talk to a therapist, every year or so if we're not regularly in therapy, and just like see what's the deal. So very good.
The inauguration kind of, and the subsequent days, I should say. The inauguration and the subsequent days.
Yeah, it's been
very taxing on my happiness.
Yeah, it's been a long couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. It's not that anything that's happening is unprecedented, but it's not terribly unprecedented. There's just a lot going on all at once.
Right.
All the time.
Like, we knew that him getting back in office meant that him and his cronies were going to be doing a lot of crazy shit and walking back a lot of legislation that has been on the books for decades. But I don't think we fully realized how exhausting it would be to listen to the news every day and be like, he just signed another 100 executive orders, and you're like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, why is there so much paper signing happening in the first 7 days? Like, what is wrong with you? And then you hear about, indiscriminate roundups of people because they look like they could be illegal aliens, and it's like, this is fun. I'm so glad we live here. And then there's the what are the confirmation hearings going on too, and it's like, oh god.
Yeah, even just the least of it all of him signing an executive order just to put blame on someone else, and you're like, is that what an executive order is? Can you just do that? Are executive orders memos? I understand that they're not laws.
I feel like,
and I understand they're not technically legislation, but
I say this in the most unserious voice ever. I do feel that Donald Trump looks at big things that he doesn't want to deal with, and he sticks his thumb in his mouth, and he's like, I'm just a baby. I don't have time for this. Can we just blame the adult that came before me? Okay, cool. We're going to do that. Like, Sir Biden had nothing to do with this. Also, executive orders are meant for legislation, not for placing the responsibility on someone's shoulder for something that happened.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. I am by no means an expert on the executive branch or any part of the government, but I don't think that's how that works.
No, I know enough about government to know enough, and I'm like, no, that's not correct.
Like, they're not social media posts. They're not a status update. Like, all good humor about this aside, it's been a very trying, if not month, especially last few days, have been very difficult. Going from all of it to the inauguration to the Palisade fires and.
Yeah.
Most recently.
And all these plane crashes.
Yeah, the plane crashes. 2 plane crashes in as many days.
Actually, it's been 4.
Have there been 4? Jesus.
Yep. There was one on the 29th, there was one on the 30th, there's one on the 31st, and then one,
Jesus.
28th, 29th, or 2 on the 29th. One of them was in Alaska, so it didn't really get reported. But it was a plane that did go down. and it like crashed, like full on exploded, crashed. And I'm like, because he has signed all these executive orders forcing government entities to not talk about things. And it's like, we need to know if it's safe to travel. I'm not flying anytime soon, just so you know.
No,
Not that I fly that often, anyways.
plane travel was already becoming dangerous enough with just Boeing, existing and continuing to make planes. The complete lack of an FAA chief or air traffic controllers does not spell anything short of doom. I don't,
Yeah, because the night of the DC one, I read reports from people that are in the industry and kind of know things. And they said that technically a control tower is supposed to have 3 people working it at all times. And that night there was 1 person. And I'm like, could you imagine trying to control as many planes that come into DC into that airport,
No.
plus the military traffic that's in DC at all times? Like, no wonder something happened. Like,
Nightmare.
one guy can't do it all. And then Trump tries to blame it on inclusive hiring.
Yeah. No one tell the 911 riders about this. Don't you fucking dare.
They've already done a plane crash, Drew. Come on.
They're not afraid to do it twice.
Actually, no, they've done it twice, technically.
Well, they're not afraid to do it the 3rd time then. Don't tell me that those people abide by rules.
They don't. It's true. They don't. We love that about them.
Completely switching gears here. Because I said that we would do this more often. Mads, we're checking in on our New Year's resolutions. What is your progress?
I have watched 2 episodes of The Leftovers.
Promising.
And realized this is not the time to be starting to watch something like The Leftovers. So I haven't watched it since I watched the first 2 episodes on Inauguration Day.
Fair.
And then I think I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes of The X-Files, and I'm loving it. I'm loving The X-Files.
Yes. It is so funny that you started watching The X-Files, because I was going to make you watch it if you lost this current batch of goats. So I don't have to do that now.
I was like, I need something sci-fi, but also not too heavy and too intense. Like, it's kind of silly. And so I was like, let me see if The X-Files is good. And that's why I tagged you and my friend Jay, because Jay's been just as adamant about getting me to watch it as you have. And so I was like, okay, I'm finally watching this. Jay's like, have fun. There's a lot of seasons.
There are a lot of seasons. There's so many episodes.
But yeah, I'm enjoying myself. There was funny because I think it was like the second episode the one with the military base and the aliens.
Oh yeah.
So they're driving and the radio starts doing this weird thing where it likes playing something else or whatever. And I literally turned to Karen and I go, well, I've watched enough Supernatural to know that ain't good. That ain't normal. Anyway. Nope, I'm enjoying myself very much. How is yours going?
I am making steady progress.
All right.
I finished up Planet Earth and Planet Earth 2. I am about halfway through the 2nd season of Avatar The Last Airbender, so I'm about halfway through that show in general.
Nice.
I watched Futurama, because believe it or not, that is a top 250 show.
Yeah, I believe it. A lot of people talk about it.
Yeah. So I watched the original run, so like the first 5 seasons.
Nice.
And the first special they did, like the first TV movie they did, Bender's Big Score. And I want to say this about Futurama real quick. It has aged as poorly as you would think, and then some.
Oh dear.
I said this on Blue Sky, was like, it's so funny because Futurama will have some really poignant and funny and emotional episodes, and then just have some of the most racist, misogynistic, transphobic episodes you've ever seen in your life.
Nice.
So it's very much a turn of the century show, especially a comedy show. So it's certainly a mixed bag. A lot of it is still very funny. The episode with Fry's dog still fucking works, But yeah, definitely an interesting rewatch of that. But even then, I was like, all right, 5 seasons is enough. That's good. That's fine. And then I started Samurai Jack.
I remember watching that as a kid.
Samurai Jack is so good. Like I watched
Mm-hmm.
I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's just some of the cleanest, crispest, like most engaging animation that just exists. Like it's outstanding. But I need that because Futurama was like I'm watching I'm watching something while I have dinner or having lunch or on break or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed another like digestible something I can just watch while I'm eating. So Samurai Jack is kind of filling that for me. And then I also started watching Critical Role, and this is the one that I think will bite me in the ass.
Okay.
Critical Role is similar. It's another actual play D&D show, but unlike Dimension 20, where it'll have like Dimension 20 will have small seasons, like at most like a 16 to 20 episode season.
Right.
Critical Role has had it started in 2015, and I think they just concluded their 3rd campaign.
Oh, geez.
So like
Gotcha.
I think the 2nd campaign is like 240 episodes long or something. So
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to like mimic an actual campaign, like the ones that you have for like years and years, and have episodes that are like 3 to 4 hours long. So
Mm-hmm.
the Critical Role is more of a time investment than even like Dimension 20 was. So I don't know how much of Critical Role I will realistically be able to watch by the end of this year. Make no mistake, this will if I watch Critical Role, it will be something I do the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And then some. I will be lucky if I finish the 2nd campaign, which I'm currently watching. So I think so far I am making very good headway on this resolution of mine.
I do want to comment, going back to you talking about Samurai Jack. I truly believe that 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network cartoons were some of the best cartoons known to man.
Yes, it's very good.
There's so many good Cartoon Network like shows that I remember watching as a kid and being like obsessed with.
But no, Samurai Jack's a good one because I watched that when it came back for its 5th season back in like 2017, and I haven't watched it since then. So I feel like a good rewatch is in order. But yeah, so that's our where we're at with our New Year's resolutions. We'll continue to check in throughout the year on that. And Matt, I do have to say, for posterity's sake, you do still have to watch Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I'll get there.
I will continue to
probably not by the new season though.
You have 2 weeks, so
no, it's not happening. I can tell you that right now. It's probably not going to end up happening. I swear I will get to it though. It is on my list.
I shall continue to be obnoxious about this. Thank you and good day. Let's carry on into some news real quick. So, first piece of news that I want to mention here is that over at Netflix, the Sandman was canceled with its 2nd season incoming. So that will be its final season, and they wanted to stress, in not so many words, that it definitely does not have anything to do with Neil Gaiman. This was their plan all along. Because we're idiots. Clearly, we're stupid.
I think it's funny that that's what that's what they're going with. That they were like, well, it was always gonna be a Sandman universe, and it's like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, the statement from Alan Heinberg, who's the showrunner, says as follows: the Sandman series has always been focused exclusively on Dream's story, and back in 2022, when we looked at the remaining Dream material from the comics, we knew we only had enough story for one more season. We're extremely grateful to Netflix for bringing the team all back together and giving us the time and resources to make a faithful adaptation in a way that we hope will surprise and delight the comics' loyal readers as well as fans of our show. Just absolute bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
True, undistilled bullshit. Yeah, no, I'm sure you looked at the entire Sandman run and was like, yeah, there's only one story here. Like, that's nonsense. I haven't read Sandman and I know that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, there's no. Like, let's be real. Like, if you want to, I'm sure there's legal reasons why they can't just say this, but like, come on, let's call a spade a spade. You did it because of Neil Gaiman. That's a fine decision to make. I don't necessarily disagree with it. That was an interesting reminder of like, oh yeah, the Sandman is coming back for a second season. I don't know how I feel about this suddenly. I still want to watch it, but it's like going from 2022 where it's like I think this is one of the best shows of the year. And now it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is this something to still be excited over?
Not really.
Not really. I want to be excited for it.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with anything to do with that at this point.
I really liked the first season, so I'm
Yeah, it was really good.
wanting to like this. But we are skipping the goat once again as we catch up. And also as we prepare for our Hall of Fame goats in March for March Madness, which will be lots of fun, and we're compiling our lists for that currently.
I'm wondering if this year it'll be as surprising as last year's ended up being.
I think we're in for some surprises. I think it's going to be a pretty evenly matched bracket. Yeah, because like last year there were clear contenders. Like there were pretty clear ones that like, well, that's going to be the one to kind of take it all, or like there was like a easy like top three.
Nice.
This year I think we have good contenders, but none that like are like, oh, it's going to sweep. We will talk more about that in a month. Without anything else, let's move on into the main part of our show. So to kick off our week in TV, as always, we are talking about Dimension 20, Misfits and Magic. Sort of, kind of, episode 5. Misfits and Magic holiday special.
Yes.
And this is a very strange thing, I think. I realized that I had never actually finished it. I got like halfway the first time and just forgot to keep watching it. So I didn't realize, like, I assumed that this set up the second season more than it does, and it really doesn't.
Does not. Oh.
It really does not. Just for how the second season teased everything up.
It was fine. I will say I think it's very convenient that they want to leave and go back to their regular world and oh no, look at that. It's a time of year where we don't have any magic. Can't do it. Sorry.
Yep.
And the most obviously convenient, like, plot device. Like,
oh, yeah, no. This is a very funny episode because it's, part of Misfits and Magic, but it is removed for, the season proper.
It's a holiday special, literally.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to coincide with the events of the season.
Yeah, and so, like, the way that it kind of responds to itself, how, like, the holiday special responds to, like, the first season, where it's like, no, of course Philstrom would not have been fired. Of course she wouldn't have. Like,
yeah.
It was silly for us to think that she wouldn't. Which works even better now, considering we currently have a president who was convicted of crimes and was not only allowed to still be president, but was not sentenced. That tracks a little better now.
Which is funny considering this came out in, 21, something like that?
Yeah, I think 20... Yeah, 20... Yeah, I think 21.
I think that's what I read when I was, like, looking up stats on this.
Yeah.
Let me just say, gonna go on a little slight tangent for a second. The interface for Dropout kind of drives me insane. I mean, what do you mean I have to go over to the side to find what I'm currently watching? Like, it's not just displayed there.
It is a little crazy.
It's the least it's probably one of the lesser, like, problematic streaming apps, but, like, when I first downloaded it, I was like, holy crap, it's hard to find anything on here.
No, I think it depends on, like, what thing you're watching it on, because the Xbox is annoying. Like the Xbox app is annoying, but the one I have for whatever smart TV I have, I think Roku.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just watching it on the wrong type of device.
But yeah, it's a weird user interface.
It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just I was just like, okay, this is something I'm really gonna have to adjust to. Back to actually talking about Misfits and Magic. That was just my little side thing. The other thing I found really, like, I kept giggling at was that it's called the lulling, and then they've changed it to call it the LOLing. Guys, this is just too unserious. I love it. Yeah, I feel like this, like, environment for these campaigns, this whole parody of Harry Potter magical stuff is just so tongue-in-cheek funny that I'm thoroughly entertained by everything. And like when they're reintroducing themselves and Brennan says his character's name and they make a comment, well, that's a mouthful and not in a fun way.
It's just so unpleasant every time. I love how unhinged Evan becomes immediately about this, and then just stays there at that energy.
Yeah.
For like 3 hours. Just Brendan just keeps Evan there for 3 hours, and it's really good. Like just that escalation of, do you have a bottle? Just like those kind of stuff. It's really funny.
I read, after I watched this, I went and read a few like reviews / recaps, like whatever, just for curious, just to see what other people thought of it. And I don't remember where I read it, but someone was like, Evan wasn't even going to leave because of sad boy reasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they spelled it sad BOI, and it's all one word. And I'm like, oh, we're going real millennial on this. Okay, great.
Yeah. Evan getting a phone that has a screen is simultaneously the saddest and most like euphoric thing that I can imagine.
I was like, oh yay, and then I was like, wow, that's really sad that it's taken him this long. But then I was like, nope, you have to check your privilege because not everyone has the money for this.
Yeah. No, that entire like gift exchange is just so well done. And God, Lou just kind of kills it, which is like the comedic timing of, and I got you Fortnite coin. It's just so good. Like it's just amazing. But yeah, I think this episode is really weird though, because it's like there's a lot of stuff that I really enjoy. Like there's a lot of like small character stuff in here, or like really funny jokes in here. But it's like you're just like this weird anomalous thing that isn't too much, and is also, you know, doesn't fit in with the thing and doesn't build to the next thing. So it's like it's very weird. It's very strange. But I guess that's kind of fitting because Misfits and Magic is kind of a weird season.
Yeah, I just ignored the fact that it was quote unquote a holiday special because you could easily ignore it. Also, the image of the Beast is going to haunt my dreams for all time.
Oh no, the Beast? Tad,
whatever they call it, I forget what they call it, but
Tad appeering on the dome is upsetting. Yeah. It's just very upsetting.
I was like, no thanks. That's nightmare and fuel. That's nightmare fuel. Thanks.
Yeah. No, and I love that clearly Abria didn't tell the others that she was going to do that. Like specifically didn't tell Erica that she was going to do that. Leading to Erica losing their mind.
I fucking love Erica. Like I said when we started watching Misfits and Magics, I got a really big appreciation for Lou, but I also started to get a real big appreciation for Erica as well. Like,
yeah. No, Erica's
just, I can relate to Erica so much.
Yeah, no. Erica is like an easy top 5 non-intrepid hero. Like, Erica is so...
I would love to have a casual conversation with Erica to see where it goes. I just want to see where the conversation goes. Erica, let's just have a weird, random conversation, and I want to know where we end up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of my friends actually went to the Madison Square Garden Dimension 20 thing and said, even from a mile away, it was just so cool to be in the same room.
I'm sure it was amazing.
you could not catch me paying those prices. But
No. I know that friend of the show, Robin Jeffrey, was there. So
nice.
that's very nice of her.
Yeah, my good friend Angela went with some friends of theirs, and they had nothing but great things to say.
Yeah, no, it was. I saw a video that Erica posted on Blue Sky where they were at the they were at the live show, and just behind is like Matt Mercer. It's just like
Yes.
just a casual Matt Mercer.
I just went and looked at Matt Mercer on Blue Sky, and I was like, oh, I'm already following him. It's fine.
It's fine.
I don't know when I did that, but it's fine.
I'm sure it was after Escape from Bloodkeep.
Probably because I'm also following Erika Ishii, and I was like, I don't remember doing that either.
I just started watching the Seven, which has like, Erica and Reika and Abria in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so much fun. They're all insane and out of their minds.
But yeah, it's such a fun 3-hour episode. It was a nice distraction from the world exploding around us.
Exactly. And I look forward to us watching the second season.
At some point, yeah.
I think the second season is immensely rewarding. I would like us to do that at some point. But now that we're done with Misfits and Magic, we will be moving on to Fantasy High sophomore year.
Yeah, yes.
Which will take us approximately 5 billion years.
Oh, probably, considering how often I am like, oh, I didn't watch that this week.
Well, not just that. It's also 18 episode season. It was live. It wasn't edited. Really. It was a Twitch season. It's a lot of fun. A lot of stuff happening on the fly. But so we will be getting into that next week, hopefully. Let's move on to our first actual thing of the week, which is Star Trek Section 31. Now, Star Trek has been on a pretty good roll so far.
Yes.
Between Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Discovery, although your mileage may vary, the last season of Picard, we've been on a good trend of good Star Trek. So I guess it was inevitable that something not good would come along. I don't understand how the same people that made Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks also made Section 31.
This garbage?
Yeah, it's not good. It's bad. It is actively bad.
Yeah. I find myself being able to actively and easily get into any kind of Star Trek that is out there because I find the way the stories are told through Star Trek is a lot of fun. I got 25 minutes into this movie and I had to pause for like 10 minutes and consider whether I wanted to continue watching. And I also realized 25 minutes in, I was like, nothing of consequence has happened yet, which is a bad sign because like it's 25 minutes in. And then I watched another 20 minutes and I was like, nope, can't even finish this. So I don't know how it ends.
Yeah, it's bad. The direction is bad. The editing is bad. The script is awful. Here's the biggest problem with it is that the people who made it thinks that Section 31 is like a cool Mission Impossible outfit instead of like what DS9 shows us, which is like this is a morally gray, morally ambiguous, fringe group of Starfleet that is arguably necessary, but goes against the very tenets of Starfleet and shouldn't exist.
Right.
And I don't think this movie knows that. I don't think it's aware of that. I think that what they wanted to do was say, hey, we still have Michelle Yeoh.
Right. They put all their eggs into the actor basket, and it's like the actor can't save everything else.
No. But boy howdy, Michelle Yeoh and Sam Richardson
they kill it,
working their ass off to save this movie, but they just can't yeah, I think they're doing really good work. I moderately enjoyed the actress who plays Rachel Garrett,
Hmm.
who was Marina from The Magicians.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think she has very intriguing energy, but yeah, it's not good. It was ill conceived, poorly thought out. This didn't need to exist, and like you benched Michelle Yeoh from Star Trek for so long for her to be in Section 31, and like Star Trek Discovery went like to a lot of effort to like write her out of the show,
Hmm.
and then just like didn't do anything with her for years, and intended for her to have like a Section 31 show, which brings up the other big point I have about this, which is like it's 3 mini episodes of television stacked on top of each other. Yeah,
It doesn't flow like a movie should flow.
no, it doesn't work. It is a true nightmare. Section 31 is what people thought Star Trek Discovery was. The thing that people accuse Star Trek Discovery of being is actually what Section 31 is.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would love to never think about this movie again because it's real disaster.
Well, can't all win, but
No, no,
Michelle Yeoh tried.
Michelle Yeoh deserves better than this. Well, let's continue on to our next show here. I'm checking back in with Sex Lives of College Girls. The end of the season 3, episode 10, titled XX Strong. I just want to talk about this real briefly because I had my concerns after Renee Rapp left at the beginning of the season. It was like, what does this show look like without her? Does the show still work? And I am happy to say that the show does still really work, at least by the end of the season,
Hmm.
with this final episode. Essex Strong, I think, is the show one of the show's strongest episodes in total. Bella's bisexual awakening and coming out is really well done, even though, and this is my hill to die upon, she is pansexual. The show
Mm.
very clearly says that she just doesn't look at gender and kind of just sees the bodies and just yeah, that's pansexual. I don't know what else to tell you. If the show gets a fourth season, I would really like them to tweak that a bit because yeah, it's obviously pansexual. But I think that's really well done. I've been debating all season whether or not there's a thing between Bella and Taylor because I've seen a lot of that online, and I'm like, I don't know, and a lot of that came down to, I mean, they're probably not going to make Bella bisexual, and then they did, so all cards are everything's on the table at this point. Um,
Hmm.
and just on an acting and show basis, you show, and I don't want to be a clown here, even though I have shown that I have the up. You cannot have her coming out in one scene and then the next have this like potential shift that people have been buzzing about, and just have them looking at each other with the most googly eyes possible.
Right.
I am not a crackpot, you know. But and I like the rest of this episode. I like Whitney standing up for herself as an athlete and going against the athletic board at the university. And I cannot, in my hearts of heart, tell you why this episode ends with a very rousing rendition of "Never Enough" from The Greatest Showman in this like live show that they put on. I don't know if there's an in-universe reason for that. Who's to say?
Hmm.
I cannot tell you that, but it is very powerful. Like, and the actress that plays Casey does a really good job of that, as they're kind of putting out a play, interposed with the theater director, played by, I don't have the who's, I think Rebecca Wysocki, who plays Hetty on Ghosts. That, I think that's all really well done. I really did super enjoy how this season ends, and like everyone ends up in like a really fun and good place as opposed to like how these seasons usually wrap up. I will say the show is paced within an inch of its life. If ever there was a show that demanded like a 22 episode run, you know, because they'll introduce boyfriends and they'll give them like an episode before the show reveals that they're the devil incarnate. Really great example of this is Casey's boyfriend. Casey losing her virginity with him, and then the next episode he dumps her. And it's like,
Ooh.
you all gotta pace this out a little bit better. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, guys, this is rough. These seasons seem to be longer, and this is, I know it's a streaming problem, not necessarily a Sex Lives of College Girls problem, but yikes, guys, yikes. That is to say, I don't even know if we will get a fourth season of the show. I would really enjoy there to be a fourth season of the show, but this finale kind of serves as a potential series finale, and I do think it was kind of structured that way. It's kind of the reverse of like what a lot of shows do of like, well, we don't know if we'll get another season, so we'll end on a cliffhanger. This is like the exact opposite of that. We don't know if we're going to get another show, so we're going out. We're going out on a high.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love a fourth season. Don't know if I'm going to get one. That is Sex Lives of College Girls. Let's move on to our next show. Harley Quinn, Season 5, Episode 3, entitled Fluoronic Man.
So I watched 2 episodes in one day because I needed to catch up. I'm trying to remember what happened in what episode because it's all blending together.
I mean this sincerely. I don't think it matters because these 2 episodes really do serve as like a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where like episode 2 is Ivy confronting Jason again.
Oh, right, yes.
And then episode 3 is dealing with the fallout of that.
Yeah, that's true. And mixed up in that is the sharks, the baby sharks.
Baby sharks.
and Clayman, that's right, Clayman.
Oh, yeah, Clayface.
Clayface, that's his name, Clayface, doing his new show.
Which does sound legitimately awful.
I would only go if Clayface was paying me money to go.
Well, like, the punchline of that is Clayface doing this one-man show, and he's not turning into someone else.
Right.
Which is, like, the only reason you would go watch Clayface.
I really like the exploration into Ivy's past and how she ended up where she was, and the subsequent events. Like, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And I say this with all sincerity, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. But also, God, I expected a little more from Lena in that second episode.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, she is clearly upset. Like, Ivy is clearly upset. I was hoping for a little more awareness of that from her.
Yeah, because Lena kind of just was like, oh, you know him? Okay, cool. I gotta go do this other thing. Bye.
Right.
Like, lady, it's more than just knowing him. You're her friend. Why are you not being her friend right now?
Yeah, I don't want to do, in the year of our Lord 2025, I don't want to do Lena Luthor villain check-in. But I really don't. I really, truly don't. But the show should make it a little harder to do that. But yeah, no, that entire confrontation between Ivy and Jason, both in episode 2 and episode 3, a man who either doesn't realize the harm he did or truly does not.
Which either one is dangerous.
Right.
And very indicative of the audacity that cis white males have.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm going to always ding a teacher if they're having sex with their student. I'm always going to.
Yeah, it's always weird.
It's always weird.
Like, even if they're in post-grad.
Side note, Bane as a father is very funny.
It's a very funny concept.
Also, everyone's moving to Metropolis, and I find that really funny.
No, I love the continuing joke of what is it,
the high property taxes?
Yeah, the property taxes are really high, but the schools are worth it. just an outstanding runner.
It's also a very fun commentary on the reality of our economy. And I'm just like, I'm here for those subtle little moments where you're just like, that hit a little too hard. Gee, thanks.
Yeah, it's definitely a note on like the gentrification of Metropolis. It's like, yeah, the schools are really good, but it's you can't live there.
It's so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about Harley being obsessed with getting into the club because it's an exclusionary club? And she's like, I want to be in any club that doesn't want me. And it's like, oh, girl, you chaotic. We love it.
She's such a mess.
Like, she just burst into his office and like demanded to be part of the club. And he just looked at her like, first of all, who are you? Second of all, who the fuck are you? Third of all, what are you doing in my office?
No, between the second and the third episode, Harley is just truly doing the most.
The baby sharks show up, and she's expecting to turn around and see that Ivy's gonna help her, and Ivy's like, sounds like a problem for you. Bye.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If someone dropped their 6 children on me without warning, I would kill them dead immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. I don't care how nice he is. I would have just smacked him.
King
I'd
Shark
be like,
is
no,
dead. He is dead.
take your spawns out of here and go find somebody else. There is such a thing as a heads up when it comes to babysitting.
Yeah. Also, why are you all not in the ocean? Like, why are for what reason are you not in the ocean?
At least with SpongeBob, they had the clarity to think, oh, if a squirrel is living under the ocean with these other characters, she needs to wear a spacesuit to be able to breathe. These guys, for Harley Quinn, are like, they're sharks that walk on their fins. It's fine. They don't need water.
Well, not even that. Just like on a sheer like child raising developmental like sociological episode basis of like you should be in the ocean with like other sharks, right? I'm not wrong about this, am I? I mean, my position on the ocean, I feel has been very clear. What is in the ocean should stay in the ocean. So please return to the ocean. So
We'll work on that for next time, Drew.
Okay. Let's continue on to our next show, Severance, season 2, episode 3, entitled "Who is Alive?" And I'm just gonna touch on this very briefly because I know that you have not watched this episode yet.
No, but I heard it was a very intense and very like revealing kind of moment.
Yes, it is a very good episode where a lot of weird things happen. The goats come back.
Oh.
And I had to be like, wait, what's the deal with the goats? I had to spend like 5 minutes remembering what happened with the goats. Right. They're goats just wandering. But you get a really good guest star performance from Gwendolyn Christie. Yeah, a lot of this just like settling back into the groove of Severance and everything happening at Lumen. They keep mentioning the project that Mark is supposed to be working on that he's so close to completing, which I need more information on almost immediately because we can't just keep saying, "Oh, Mark's almost so close to finishing this very important project that we're working on," without like more of like what that is. Yeah, and the way that this episode ends is very intriguing. With some things that Mark's Audi is doing, which feels like it could have been an entire season's worth of character arc done in like 1 or 2 episodes. So I think it's really interesting, and I kind of can't wait to see where this will pan out to. We will talk more about that at a later date. Let's move on to our next show, Ghosts, season 4, episode 10, titled "The Not So Silent Part." So the thing that I want to say right here at the top, the show's preparing us for when Thor gets sucked off the season, right?
They've got to be.
This is now the second episode that they're like, and Thor had like this really important past because he's been here forever. So like, he's getting sucked off.
Yeah, and I think the next episode he literally takes on the idea of doing therapy to deal with the trauma of being left behind by his Viking countrymen. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to give him clarity and peace of mind. Therefore, suck off. Yeah, they're definitely going heavy on making it feel like Thor is going to be leaving soon.
Because if they're not doing that, then I don't know what we're doing.
I will say that this whole episode was very. It made me laugh more than I anticipated I was going to laugh because of the Jay being unable to hear everything the ghosts are saying is definitely becoming funnier the longer it goes on, especially the more complicated the situations are. Like, for example, this whole, well, I want to meet with your partner. And then they're like scrambling to figure out who the partner is going to be. And I knew from the moment that they decided to bring back the Khan character that pretended to be her family member, I'm like, this is not going to end well at all.
No. They can definitely just hack into Isaac's account, right? Like, they don't need Isaac for this. Like, the idea that Isaac's money is locked in a safe somewhere and not somewhere that, like, Sam and Jay can just get to because they know how to use the internet.
The lack of intelligence between the two of them.
No, I did love the joke from Isaac. Like, I do think sometimes we forget that she hit her head really hard.
I also feel like I have a newer, even though I've always appreciated Isaac, a newer appreciation of Isaac because someone I know recently got completely caught up on Ghosts, having never watched it before, and was like, I love my revolutionary disaster gays. And I'm like, yes, because they're a disaster.
Really.
They're so entertaining. Isaac is constantly complaining about things, but then he realizes he's being a jerk and he dials it back. But in this situation, him dialing it back does not help the situation at all because no one can hear him but Sam. Also, Hetty finding out that she's Irish.
Hetty being Irish is the single funniest thing in the world because never has there looked a more Irish person in existence.
Right. But she acts so shocked. And it's like, oh, honey, is this restaurant ever going to open? Is the real question.
That is the question. You know what? Honestly, at this point, I would just been like, Mark, we can just see ghosts. I don't know what else to say at this point. You've seen enough weird shit around here.
Sure, if Jay had said, hey, listen, our partner is a ghost that gave us access to his financials that kind of just disappeared when he did, I'm sure Mark would be like, okay, whatever.
Whatever, that's fine.
Because Mark's a very chill guy, all things considered. Like, he's very chill.
They have told that man so many weird lies.
And he's still working for them. Like, he's like, I'll still do your work.
I mean,
your job.
They're also paying him a fortune.
Yes, but like, I understand they're paying him, but like, he's still willing to do the work. You know, there comes a point where some people are like, even the money's not good enough. Like, but not Mark. He's like, you know, you guys are crazy and weird, but you're paying me, so.
Like, I just want you to consider how much they would have had to have paid Mark at this point after like 3 years.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Plus all the like the parts and pieces of putting it together. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, he's been there every week for 3 years.
Yeah, we need to move this forward a little bit, guys. It's not realistic anymore that you guys still have money. Like,
no,
even from a dead guy.
You have an objectively failing hotel.
I will say, I looked at the synopsis for next week, and Jay's sister comes back, and I love her, so I'm excited. I'm curious to see where things are gonna go.
I love Jay's sisters.
I thoroughly enjoy his sister.
Let's continue to our next show, Matlock, season 1, episode 9, entitled Friends. And so I think my main question right at the top here is, why is Shay not a suspect?
She is now.
Right, but she's not like a on the board suspect. She's like a, hey, this person was here that we didn't realize was involved, but pay attention to her now. but why is she?
Yeah.
Why is she not a suspect?
I think Maddie's been so centered on the fact that Shay could figure out her secrets that she hasn't really like thought properly about it. Which again, the one time Edwin's actually helpful is this episode where he's like, "You're losing objectivity," and I agree with him because she's getting wrapped up in this lie and focusing more on making sure no one catches her in her lie than she is on investigating the Wellbrexa stuff.
Right.
And I actually, in my review, said, this is a decent episode if you're only looking at the continued bond of between Maddie and Olympia, because otherwise, Julian continues to be this enigma that it's been way too long that we don't know enough information about him. And well, Brexa's going nowhere, and I'm like, I get that they're trying to stretch this out to cover an entire season, potentially more than one season, but it needs to make some kind of movement because now I'm just at the point of I don't give a fuck anymore. I just enjoy watching Maddie interact with these people, and that's fine enough for me.
Right.
It's just very annoying that we're not getting any headway with the major parts of what this show is supposed to be about.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's meant to fill an entire season. It is.
Yeah, but I feel like we should still have had more than what we've currently had 9 episodes in.
Yeah, but also we're only 9 episodes in.
Of 18, we're halfway through.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there should be more. I don't know. That's just me. Like, I truly feel we should have had more FaceTime with Julian at this point. And I feel like the writers are focusing a bit too much on Olympia, which, again, makes it very suspicious that Maddie's like, well, I don't think she did anything. And it's like, well, you've been spending a lot of time with her, which is giving the writers the chance to humanize her, which makes me more suspicious of her. I don't know. Anyway, I'm still enjoying myself. There are moments where I'm just like, oh my God, can we just keep going? Can we like push forward a bit more with this? Can we get a little further with this?
Well, I do think it's also that this is like the first episode really where like there isn't a thing that Maddie's digging.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not a scheme.
That's true.
So I think that might be part of it.
And also, it doesn't help that the case that they're investigating or taking to court, whatever, in this episode is so blah that I did not care. So I think it didn't. I think that really plays into it too. That like this episode truly felt like, what was the point? Which I guess they have room for a couple of those with 18 episodes. I don't know. Sarah and Billy deserve their own show.
They do. They're really entertaining.
And like they're not even involved in cases anymore. And I'm just like, I want 5 million hours of just them. Like going back and forth, teasing each other about their love lives. Like, yes, I want all of that.
Yes. But also, what is going on between her and Kira? Like,
it's a will they, won't they?
Right. But it seems like will they?
It's very much, I think right now the reason they've kind of stalled at this point, it's mostly because Sarah is not someone that gives over control in any kind of situation, and so a romantic relationship is a new concept for her. Right. And that's why I find Billy's little jabs at her the whole episode very entertaining, because he can see it. He's goading her into, hey, maybe you should open your mouth and talk to the girl you like and tell her you like her, because otherwise she is going to go find somebody else.
But that's what I could think, like, what is Kira thinking? Like, what is going on with her?
I imagine that she is probably fondly looking at Sarah and being like, hopefully she'll figure this out.
I mean, Sarah laid it all out pretty clearly at the end of the episode.
Definitely.
Legitimately, it might be like a two-way street of commitment, you know? Two people terrified of commitment, which always ends well. Let's continue on to our next show, which is Doc, Season 1, Episode 4, entitled One Small Step. The thing that I really liked about this episode was the way that they're kind of like not building the show around her.
Right.
She's there and she's an integral part, but she's not House, you know?
Exactly. And we're getting snippets of each of the characters in situations that either somewhat relate to her or don't relate to her really at all. And so I appreciate that because it's showing that yes, she is that focal point, but she's not all that this show is.
And like the decision this episode to have like the main case be worked on by Sonia and TJ, like
Yeah.
that is a good decision because like Amy cannot always like that would always be the thing that House ran into, where it's like no matter what's going on, House is at the center of a case, solving a case, still doing a House thing. And here it is, Amy is still working on stuff, but it's not the main part of the show.
Her focus in this episode is trying to make heads and tails of what happened with her son.
Yeah.
And trying to repair relationships with her husband and her daughter, or her ex, I should say, her ex-husband and her daughter. And I think that's just as important as the medical stuff because she has to contend with the person that these people know versus who she feels like now. And they are not the same person.
Right.
Plus, she has all this like lack of knowledge about a very major life altering event in her life. And so I appreciated that she was able to have a moment with her daughter that was not related to the death of her son. It was just her trying to get back to baseline with her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, her ex realizes, oh, I could control the narrative of what she finds out, how she finds out, the facts, all the information, because I was involved the day he died. I'm the best person to tell her this information because I know her and because I know what happened. And so I appreciate that he took her to the site of the death and explained it to her and was able to do that respectfully because he could have easily been very nasty about it because of how he's kind of been a bit standoffish towards her. And so I appreciated that he put that aside and just had compassion for her in that moment.
That final scene is really well done. But on top of that, it's also really good to have her be juxtaposed with Miller. And really, Miller is an asshole 95% of the time, and I think that's still true throughout this episode. But that moment of like, you had us looking for things that weren't necessarily there all the time because you had to be that smart and you had to find that hidden layer. It feels like that rare moment of like, Miller is trying to help her in whatever deranged way he has, you know?
He's saying it, and it's in the context of him asserting power and control over the hospital and what goes on and, you know, whatever. But at the same time, he's also saying, this is who you used to be. After your son died, you need to try not to become her again. Like, sometimes there's not a fancy answer, it's just simple. And I appreciated that because, yeah, he has so much writing on her not remembering things. And yet he's willing to go out of his way and be like, listen, when your son died, you suddenly turned into this person that made us do all these extra steps unnecessarily and more expensively on the patient. You know, let's not go there. Let's not do that again.
But also, the email he sent at the end of the episode, what a fucking swing. Like, what a big swing for him to make.
I'm still kind of curious what exactly it is that he's trying to cover up. Like, yes, we know that like something went wrong with a patient, but I'm like, I want to know more of the details of this. Like,
What was it? He gave a patient a shot that he wasn't supposed to.
Right, I understand that, but I'm saying, like, I want to know the context of it. Like, I want to know what's the situation? How did this happen? Like, I don't. I know they'll probably eventually show us in flashback format, like they've been doing throughout the season so far, is like giving us a few flashbacks here and there. I'm sure they will. But I'm just kind of the person that I'm like, okay, that's at the front of my brain. That's what I want to know. I'm waiting for them to give us that answer. But also, I think it's going to be very interesting when she finds out that not only is she, I mean, because she already knows that her and Michael are split up. But for her to find out that Michael is now with a woman who is pregnant, I'm curious to see if she's going to end up falling apart because of it, or if she's just going to be like, that makes sense, we're not together anymore. Like, she's been very chill and blasé about things so far that she's been finding out. She's been very, not blasé, what's the word I'm looking for? She's been very logical and very understanding. Which, based on our flashbacks, that is not who she is. She's definitely a different person now, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, and she also still doesn't know that her and Jake were together.
Right.
The whole other layer.
So many layers going on that she doesn't know about yet. I continue to really like this show. I feel like the pacing is really good, and it's not trying to be like other medical dramas.
No. Speaking of other medical dramas, The Pitt, Season 1, Episode 5, titled 11 a.m. So I can't wait for us to get to the end of this arc where Whitaker no longer has any scrubs.
That's okay. I was literally about to, I was looking up his name. I'm like, the poor guy, he had 2 left when he went to go get his latest replacement in this episode. So he has 1 credit left for getting a set of scrubs. And he already has blood all over the ones that he just got. So it's like, oh, buddy, you're going to run out of scrubs, aren't you?
Yep.
It's been 1 pair an hour at this point. Like, it's... Oh, that poor kid.
Ugh.
And I love that, he's still terrified about the guy that died only a couple hours ago. Because we have to remember, it's only been a couple hours since this guy died on his watch. And he is a new doctor. He is brand new to this. And then you give him a patient who had bleeding from a tonsillectomy. And it's very, very traumatizing visually. Like, poor Whitaker, he's probably going to walk out at the end of his shift and be like, peace out, bitches, I'm not coming back.
Another thing I'm curious about is, what do you think is going on with Garcia and Santos?
Is there something going on between Garcia and Santos?
Well, it seems to me, because we've had a couple scenes between them in like the 4th and 5th episode, where it seems to me, or it might just be in the 4th episode, where it seems to me that like either Garcia is trying to poach Santos for surgery,
Yeah,
or Garcia has a crush. Like,
I also just feel like Santos is just very abrasive and in your face with everyone, that it's hard to tell because of that too.
Yeah.
Like, the Santos side of things makes it hard as well.
I do think they're trying to set up Santos going to surgery.
Yeah. Yeah, because Santos doesn't feel like she quite fits in with the vibe and dynamic of the emergency room. She's definitely one of those people that feels more like, yeah, give me a scalpel and let me cut. Like, let me just cut into people.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do think they're trying to like set up Garcia being maybe a mentor figure, maybe. I can't decide if Garcia is into Santos or in what way.
Yeah, not to be that person.
Not to be that person.
But it kind of feels, well, no. Not to be that person, but it kind of feels like the opposite of what happened on ER with Carter and Benton. Like, Carter and Benton started off being surgeons, and Carter then left surgery to go to ER, go to the emergency room doctor, being an emergency room doctor. So, like, I feel like Santos is the opposite of Carter, where she's, like, going to move into surgery instead of staying in ER.
Yeah. Because there's a really interesting scene in the 4th episode where Santos screws up a procedure, or like makes the wrong call on a procedure, and Garcia comes in like, what the fuck were you all thinking? And then the other doctor's like, it was Santos, and she goes, well, it happens, rookie mistake, just like instantly deflates.
But I also feel like she was slightly judging. I can never remember that doctor's name. I just remember him as, he looks kind of like Sebastian Stan. Fake Sebastian Stan, also as her mentor in the ER, should be the one shouldering the blame for it. And I feel like the part of the reason why Garcia made that like kind of like 180 in reaction is that she realizes that if it's Santos, that means she's a rookie, makes mistakes, but also her mentor did not have her back, so she deserves to have someone that has her back.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in how that will continue to play out. I also just really enjoy whenever Garcia shows up and just like just walks into a room and just like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I'm out.
Like in this episode, she's like pushing them. She's like, guys, just let me cut his neck and put the tubing in. And they're like, no, we got it. And it took a little bit longer than it should have. But she's like, but at the end of the day, they were able to do it without requiring surgery. And she's like, she kind of just seems very disappointed that she doesn't get to cut into something.
I mean, it probably is a luck, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it is. And it's pulling her away from the things that she should be working on. But also, I feel like there is a slight competition between surgery and ER. And like those doctors are like, oh, well, we're ER. We're on the front lines. Like, we know how to deal with shit. We don't just have to cut into people to fix them,
No, like those were always like the fun episodes of like Scrubs, where it's like medical versus surgeon.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're trying to figure out what's actually going on inside, and surgeon's just like, I am going to cut you up.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see more about what's her name? She's clearly pregnant.
Oh, Collins.
Yes. Yeah, Dr. Collins. It's very obvious in this latest episode especially that like she clearly is pregnant, and it took her a while to come around to being okay with what this girl wanted. And then she finds out that that girl isn't actually with her mother, that her mother is this other woman that come running in and was yelling that she's not getting an abortion. And it's like, you could tell she was biting her tongue to be like, let this girl make the decision for herself. I just want to know more about Collins because she seems interesting, but she's very quiet. So she goes under the radar a lot in the episodes. But I'm always keeping an eye on her. I like her. She also just doesn't let Dr. Robbie get away with anything, which I appreciate.
No, yeah. And especially with like the confirmation that they did used to go out.
Yeah.
It's very good. I've also changed my mind about Melissa. I don't think she's weird and awkward. I think she is straight up autistic.
Yeah, no, she's definitely autistic.
Like fully autistic. I think. Yeah, I can't remember. I distinctly remember thinking that. I was like, oh, she's autistic, but I can't remember what it exactly made me think that.
Her case with the daughter taking care of her elderly mother was kind of sad. Yeah. But as someone that does a lot of writing for an agency that does home health care, children that have to take care of their parents, it requires a lot of energy, and you can get burned out very easily. And I don't blame that woman for walking away. I just wish she would have done it with her mom's future care in mind. Because now her mom is kind of like shit up a creek. There's nowhere for her to go.
We also don't know that she won't come back.
That's true, but it made it very much seem like she's not coming back. To be fair, considering this whole season covers the entire shift of this hospital for this day, whatever, maybe by the end of the season we'll see the daughter come back and be like, oh, where's my mom? And they'd be like, you left like 6 hours ago. So basically the big question is, will Whitaker end the shift with clothes?
There's actually two questions. Will Whitaker end the shift with clothes? And will Dr. Robbie go to the bathroom?
Yes.
This is the great character arc of our time.
But it's so realistic too. That's the thing. Is that like, if you've ever worked a job where you can't really leave your post just to willy-nilly go to the bathroom, you understand the anxiety of that whole episode where he just constantly kept trying to go to the bathroom. And he never did, so we're still assuming he still needs to go to the bathroom. But like, I used to be a teacher. It's hard when you have to go and you can't exactly leave to go.
Well, let's continue on to our next show. Abbott Elementary, Season 4, Episode 12, titled Girard Creek. I like that the show is really doubling down on Gregory has weird attitudes towards food.
Yes. Honestly, there was a slight moment when he was like, "Oh, I love this. That means I will try this, this, and this." And I'm like, are the writers backing out on the fact that he's autistic and foodiverse? Oh no, he's just kidding. Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought they were being serious about him trying the truffles and then deciding, "Oh, I'm going to try all kinds of foods now because I like the truffles." And then I was like, "Oh, thank God they're not backtracking on his weird food aversions." Like, I'm sorry, who hates pizza?
I don't know.
Gregory, you are not a human. If you don't like pizza, you're not human. That's not true. That's very exclusionary. I'm sorry, I should not have said that.
I relate to Gregory. I too often when he was saying like I like my food and I don't like my food to touch. I was like I feel it. Come on,
Oh, I feel
I
that.
feel that.
Yeah, I feel that. Like there was what was something else he had said. I feel like anytime he starts talking about food, I'm just like, no, I totally understand that. Like I'm for the most part, I will eat just about anything. But when the chips are down and I'm required to make a decision for myself about what I eat, I'm choosing from 5 foods. And that is it.
Right. I even feel like the essence of Gregory's like food aversion of like if it it's simple, it's good. Or it's like I don't get toppings on my pizza because we had cheese. We perfected it at cheese. Why would I continue to get toppings beyond the cheese that is already perfect?
And see, I can't eat just cheese because cheese by itself tastes like rubber in my mouth. And so I need to have pepperoni or vegetables on my pizza for it to not be gag worthy.
Yeah, makes my brain itch. I don't like it.
I mean, listen, I was like, bleh, when they were like, "Oh, look, all the truffles." I'm like, truffles are disgusting. Mushrooms are disgusting. Why would you put that on anything? And then Gregory finds out he likes it. And I'm like, Gregory, I had so much good hope for you. Like, what?
That whole storyline, this episode, is made entirely worth it at the end, where with the truly deranged look as he's just shoving full truffles into his mouth.
Yeah. He just took a full truffle and shoved it in his mouth in front of Ava. And I'm just like, ew.
Like just looking like a
Ew.
complete madman.
Let me just say, I love a Melissa and Ava team up.
Oh, it's really good. God, the
I
whole
did not realize I needed that until it was happening. And I was like, oh no, we need them to be dynamic duo jewel thieves next. Like, we need them to just.
yeah,
Could you imagine them stealing something of importance at like a museum or a store? Like, I would be here for it.
yeah. No, uh, the whole banter about pulling a heist. No, I saw. I mean, we probably could have mentioned this in the news, but I saw there was a new show coming out with Jodie Whittaker and Saran Jones. They're like retired thieves
I don't think I've heard about this.
getting back. It's like some like a BBC production thing, but it's like
Okay.
them getting into them like coming out of retirement to do one more job, and I'm like, oh, this is what the American version of this should be.
Yes.
This is the American remake.
Also, I want to very briefly comment on the previous episode with the SEPTA strike and
Yeah.
Melissa being the one that's like gung ho union sympathizer. To the point of when they do finally figure out a solution to get all the kids picked up, she's like, "These are not stops, these are pickups, or we are scabbing."
Yeah, no. This feels like in the same way the what was it, the ringworm episode was
Oh yeah,
about COVID but not about COVID. The SEPTA episode
right.
was about the actor strike, but also not about the actor strike.
Absolutely. And also going back to this episode specifically where Janine is trying to figure out what is in an Arnold Palmer, and it's like, girl, you have a phone. You could Google that.
Well, I think she knows what's in an Arnold Palmer. I don't think she knows what's in this Arnold Palmer.
No. She doesn't know what's in an Arnold Palmer because she goes, I know it's lemonade, but I can't figure out what that second thing is, what that other thing is. And it's like, honey, an Arnold Palmer is lemonade and iced tea. Honey, it's iced tea. Because she's like, it's not apple juice. Like, she goes through a whole thing in front of the camera where she's breaking the fourth wall and like trying to figure out what that second thing is. She's like, it's not Coke. I tried that. It's not Coke. And it's like, girl, Google it. And so when she gets all deranged in front of the guy that owns the the golf club, the golf country club, he looks at her like, "Are you serious?" And it's because you should know what's in this. Also, I find it very funny that the kid that Jacob's been trying to get an interest in anything out of is interested in golf, one of the most expensive sports.
Yeah. So much of that golf stuff rang so true because I went golfing with my dad so much when I was a kid. We went to like so many courses and like we were never like rich, so we weren't like in a club. But we went to like so many of like those kind of outfits. It's like, oh yeah, yep, it's all tracking. This is all it.
Yeah, I played golf when I was younger. I was actually on my high school golf team. I picked up the sport because I wanted something that I could do with my grandfather that my other siblings wouldn't want to do. And I actually really like golf, but it's a lot, especially if you are a left-handed person, because most golf clubs are right-handed clubs.
Oh yeah.
So it gets even more complicated. No, I found it very interesting that the black kid wants to play a white sport.
Yep.
Also, I appreciate the commentary on what rich white people using poor black people to look good.
It is so funny now that they have a golf club because my extremely white, affluent elementary school did not even have one. I don't think any.
Yeah, we didn't have a golf team until middle school.
Yeah, I know my high school had one.
There's not much else to do in Kansas, so there is team sports starting in middle school, and golf is one of the team sports that's included in that.
My middle school probably should have had a golf club, given that there was a golf course right behind us.
There was a golf course right there.
Literally right there.
I was never any good at golf, but I enjoyed it because it was a nice anger releaser.
Yeah.
I could hit a golf ball and pretend it was whoever I was mad at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that is it for this week. Next week, things are starting to come back in earnest, so we will see what we end up talking about, because it could be any number of things.
Yes, but I'm most excited about wild cards.
Oh yeah, wild cards come back next week. I cannot believe, again, in the year of our Lord 2025, that we are excited for a CW show.
Facts.
Truly outrageous.
Who knows? I might even mention how terribly 911 Lone Star ended its show. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Depends on how angry I am. Goodbye, Rob Lowe. Won't miss you.
So until next week, Mads, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at DorothyNYC89. And you can find me on Tumblr at MadsWorld15. And I think that's it.
And you can find me pretty much everywhere at Draconic. You can find the podcast at Not Another TV Podcasts on all your social media platforms, more or less. And you can email us at notanothertvpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, comments, or questions you may have about the show. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on Apple and Spotify, along with whatever other podcasting device you use. Also, check out our Libsyn feed at libsyn.com/notanothertvpodcast. That will have our full directory, all our back episodes, and whatever might not be on Apple or Spotify at this point. I don't understand how they work, and I never will. Thank you and good day. Be sure to leave us a review wherever you're listening to and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Until next week, please remember, don't go in the ocean. It's none of your business. If you see a shark on land, tell it to go back to the water. Thank you.